BeReal. It's the latest social media app. It's aimed at unfiltered, posting what you are doing right now, so it sends a message out and gets people to post within 2 minutes. But what does this mean for employers? Hello, I'm Jenefer. I'm the founder of Silk Helix, and we help small employers with all things HR and employment law so you can focus on growing your business. So what even is BeReal? Well, it's the latest social media trend, and unlike Instagram, which is for the filters and planned content and trying to put out your best look and your best life, BeReal is about being real. So it's about posting what you're doing right now, and what it does is it sends out a message to all users and gets you to post within 2 minutes with an image of what you're doing right now, unfiltered, real life. And that's where the risks come for employers. So if that message goes out to say you've got to post within 2 minutes and you're in the middle of the working day, that image is going to reflect something to do with your work. And what we're finding is that some people are posting images of their computer screens, which of course could contain confidential information. Even if you flick to a new tab to get rid of what's actually on your screen, the tabs at the top of the screen can often give away tools you're using, potentially even confidential information within those as well. And it's not just confidential information, there's also the risks of reputation harm to the employer. Years ago now, before BeReal was even a thing, we dealt with a case of somebody who had posted pictures. They're in a retail environment, they posted pictures online, probably Facebook back in the day, and those photos showed relatively high-end goods being stored in a toilet cubicle that was used by the staff. Now, clearly not great for the reputation of the employer, either with their customers or even their suppliers. So posting images like that, whilst it may not have confidential information, it has got information that's really not great for the look of the brand and not something that you want out there. So those sorts of pictures could also be an issue. Clearly there could be issues around photos that have got people in them, potentially that person's a customer. There's potential identifiable personal data, but also if you're working on a client premises, for example, then a photo there could give away information that either the client doesn't want given away, even information about the fact that those people are your client, which one or other of you might not want that information out there. And that's not to mention the personal risks someone might be putting themselves at by disclosing their location. And then while we've got risks around GDPR and company confidential information, we've also got risks in terms of productivity, being sucked into social media, spending time on there when you should be at work. That's a wider issue, and all of the social media apps have exactly the same problems. I have got another video on social media in the workplace which covers this in much more detail. Take a look, and I will put a link in the description below giving you details where you can find that video. I think for me, one of the biggest issues around BeReal is this 2 minutes that you've got to post your images, because it means that people's guard's going to be down. They're not going to be thinking, they're going to be trying to do it with speed, almost in a stress response rather than a really logical, thought through. So whereas if we were planning content, we would probably zoom in, we'd be looking at, well, what is in that image, what can be seen in the background, what can be seen by others when they're looking into it. We're not doing that when we're posting within 2 minutes and having to do it so quickly. So I think that's the biggest issue that makes this app so different to other social medias that we've dealt with before. So how do employers manage these risks? Firstly, prevention is always going to be better than cure. So make sure that you've got confidentiality clauses in your employment contract, a confidentiality policy in your employee handbook, making it really clear that company secrets and personal data must not be shared anywhere. And that's not just limited to social media, that's anywhere, anyhow. That's confidential information, and breaching that potentially is an act of gross misconduct. I'd also recommend you have a social media policy which should reiterate around confidential information and not sharing that, but should also talk about not putting the company in disrepute, clearly not harming its reputation, and also being really clear about what can and can't be shared on social media. Increasingly, people and brands are using social media for marketing purposes, and therefore we need to be really clear: what can we share, what's useful for the company to share, how, where, when should people be sharing it, and what they can't share. And because these things vary so much, I also recommend training and reminding people on a regular basis what they can share, what they can't share, how they should be sharing things. And particularly right now with this app becoming so popular, in that 2 minutes, people are not thinking logically, and therefore putting into their minds beforehand that the consequences potentially of that 2 minutes is a gross misconduct dismissal is really wise, because once it's out, it's very difficult for you to bring back in. So even if you do end up dismissing someone for gross misconduct, you've still got the fact that this information has been leaked out of your business and the potential harm to that. So training people, reminding people is so important. And again, I go into this in a lot more detail in my full video on social media in the workplace. Take a look at it, and the link is in the description below. Just a note on social media policies: you don't have to mention BeReal or any other social media platform specifically. And in fact, I strongly recommend you don't. Years ago, I think it was taking MySpace out of policies and putting LinkedIn into them, and then realising that we've got to add new ones. It just becomes so messy, and we can't keep up with social media. And of course, it's not just social media. There's all sorts of online ways that people can share information: blogs, personal websites, gaming, the whole lot. So I would recommend that you've got a policy that covers all of these things as widely as you can, about not sharing information online, not just limited to social media. So don't worry if you've not got BeReal mentioned in your social media policy. It doesn't need to be there. The reality is it's the same whether you're posting these images on LinkedIn, Instagram, BeReal. It doesn't matter where you're putting them. If they're releasing confidential information, whether that's company confidential information, personal data, or harming the reputation of the company, your social media policy should be covering that and allowing you to dismiss for gross misconduct. And your training should be reminding people so that they avoid doing it in the first place. If you've got any questions, whether it's BeReal or other social media, pop them in the comments below and I will do my best to answer every single one. In the meantime, if you've liked my videos, found this one useful, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you don't miss a single one.